All right, and here we are. Hello, everybody. We are live. Hi, everybody. It's Amanda here, your CUTIE Carnage, or ChannelSundown. And today I have with me my horror homies. Let me guys introduce y'all to my friend Brian Gatto from the Horror Show Entertainment.
Sup?
I don't know why, but for a minute there I like flinched because like I had Horror Show Entertainment, and when I clicked on it real fast, it said The Horror Show, and I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, wait a minute, what did I just click? Okay, we got it. And then we also have my friend, OCD Horror.
I'm a human still.
So they're so enthusiastic to be here.
Yeah, always. Every day.
Well, you guys can see that I am not wearing my glasses because somebody don't know where the glasses are, which is gonna suck at work tomorrow. So I have my good old friend Brian here to help me be my eyes today because he has his glasses on.
When don't I have my glasses on?
Yeah. Oh man, my dog just knocked over my wine. Not cool, doggy.
Oh man, hope you don't have a carpet.
No, it's a floor. It's better than his, but it's okay. If anybody off topic, anybody knows I don't have a dog. Well, I do currently now. I guess no, don't drink the wine, doggy. No, come here. Yes, guys, this is the dog that I rescued that I found on my porch.
Aww, yeah. He's so cute. He's camera shy.
You know what my mother said? My mother said I should name him Pinky from Pinky the Brain because like, what are we gonna do tomorrow, Brain?
So we got 4 people watching. We got Dino.
Hey, Dino.
We got Abdul Parker.
Oh, Wahi! Hey, y'all remember Wahi?
And James Mox Trailers. He's always here, so that's awesome.
Oh, so awesome, so awesome. All right, guys. Well, you can tell by the title name. Today, we're going to be doing a Google Horror Hangout to talk about
assimilation.
Assimilation. Yes. We're going to be talking about a movie that I saw, I'm going to say 2 weeks ago. I kind of wanted to film a review on it, but I had so many people that had so many opinions on this film. So I decided what better way to discuss this film, but to have a live discussion. Yes, guys, this is going to be so much fun. We're going to hear all the pros and maybe some cons. I don't know. We'll see. But Annihilation... Yeah, Annihilation is actually a film that has been out for how long? How long has it been out, Brian?
Since February 23rd this year.
Yes, because I went and saw it right when it came out. And let's just say that it was not a packed theater. Hardly anybody was in the theater, which I was really surprised because it was the one horror movie that was out. And I thought more people would be into it. Apparently, a lot of people weren't.
It's funny you say that because my theater was packed, and that normally doesn't happen. And we also saw Death Wish the week after, and that was packed. And there's movies who haven't been really performing that well. So I was like, no one's probably going to be here, but both times they were packed.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird because honestly, but then again, you have to consider that I live in Texarkana, Texas. So there's not a lot of film fans. Everybody went to go see films that weren't Annihilation. I think I remember like Game Night was out and a bunch of other films, but not many people saw Annihilation, which we will get into why I think a lot of people are into it because that's going to be a part of my review. So let's go ahead, Brian, and go in and dive into the plot of the story, if you would.
All right, so the plot, and if I cannot stutter, that'd be great. A biologist's husband disappears. She puts her name forward for an expedition into an environmental disaster zone, but does not find what she is expecting. The expedition team is made up of the biologist, an anthropologist, a psychologist, a surveyor, and a linguist. I think that's what.
Yes.
Linguist. Okay.
Linguist.
Yes.
That's
a linguist. It was kind of like whenever.
No, I was an English major. I could have.
I mean, it's funny.
Not making fun of you, Brian.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I used to call placebo, and
oh, really?
It's fine, guys, because I can't even say Thorth.
That's funny.
I can't say Thorth.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the plot synopsis they have written on my IMDb. So
okay, so basically, we'll go ahead and just dive into the movie right away. Okay, It stars Natalie Portman. Okay, and it was directed by, who is the director? It was the writer of Ex Machina.
Alex Garland.
Jinx.
Alex Garland. There you go. Yes, Alex Garland. I had it written down, but like I said, guys, I've been kind of discombobulated lately, so my mind's been like out of whack today. So,
in case you didn't know, Alex Garland also wrote 28 Days Later and Dread.
Mm-hmm.
As well as Sunshine.
Sunshine as well, yeah.
Yes. And I guess we'll go ahead and start with our opinions on the film. I'm going to go ahead and start with... It's really hard to kind of... And I know I say this all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and just come out and say it's really hard to talk about this film without spoiling it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with... I saw the film. Okay, like I said, it was an empty theater. There was probably... No, and I'm not going to say empty. There was probably maybe 5 people, not counting myself, who were there. And they all were older people. And when going into this film, a lot of people, I assumed, thought they were in for a shoot-'em-up alien creature film. And spoiler alert, just warning you guys, everybody is watching, this conversation is going to be a heavy spoiler conversation. Towards the beginning, we're not going to dive so much into the spoilers, but be forewarned that this film, you can't really talk about it without spoiling.
We should give our overall thoughts, though, before we go into spoilers, so at least people will know what we thought.
Exactly, because it's... OCD's like, I don't know. So, okay, well, we're going to go ahead, and every time I do reviews, we'll go ahead and go through all these criteria. First criteria we're going to go through is we're going to talk about the story. And then a lot of you guys don't know that this film is actually based on a 3-part book series. Am I correct, OCD?
Based.
Yeah, based. It's based on a 3-part book series. It's Annihilation. And I know this one because I just said it. What'd you say?
I said like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on 3 events.
Okay, well. So it's based on 3 books, and the first book is I don't know because I haven't read the book. OCD has read the book, and
hey, I got him.
Okay, it was Annihilation,
Authority,
Acceptance. Yes, I remember the third one, Acceptance, because towards the end, and that's going to be coming towards my overall. But I feel like they took a lot of the aspects of all 3 of the books, it seems like, and they interpreted it into one story. Just based on the summary I've read of the other 2 books. Mind you, I read summaries. I didn't read the book, but I read up on the summary. And I don't know, because like I said, OC will dive more into this. But I feel like, I don't know, I doubt they're going for a trilogy. I really doubt they are. But if they are, I don't know how that would happen. So we'll go ahead and get to that. I'm going ahead and let OCD, because he's over here panning right now. I could just see him. I'm going to go ahead and let him start on number 1, the story. What is your opinion on the story? Not the adaptation versus the book, but your opinion of the story overall. Let's X out the book. Let's forget about the book.
X out the book. Oh, that's so difficult. It was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah, I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And It was an awesome Bjork music video. I really love that.
A Bjork music video? Is that, you just call
yeah,
it
it was a
music
fantastic Bjork music video directed by
Okay.
Spike Jonze. Really, really liked it.
So this is a Spike Jonze.
I did not like. I don't know. It
Jonze.
was okay. That's all I can really say about the story. It was okay. It was just very. I really didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about their mission. I honestly, I just didn't care. I grew very disenchanted very quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I feel differently about that. I feel like the story, it has a lot of, and I use this a lot. I know I use this a lot, but there's a lot of heavy foreshadowing in this story.
I'll go more into it when we do spoilers.
Yeah, we'll go into it more when we do spoilers, but the best way I can really talk about it without spoiling it is there's a lot of story behind these characters. And not
like
even
too much story.
Well, no, I think
too
it's
much
enough story with these characters. You know, you have a character who is dealing with grief. You have a character who's going through addiction, and you have a character who's going through kind of a mute point in their life. That's the best way I can put it. A very unfulfilling, I want to say unfulfilling life, but a point in her life to where she feels like she has nothing to feel.
But most of the characters, they don't get resolution. You find out what their problems are, and they kind of drops it. I mean, the girl who was going through a hard time in her life did kind of get a resolution, but the girl who was like going through withdrawal, she doesn't come to see what her doings are wrong. The other girl who dies like first, there's no real payoff with her either, you know?
Well, that's what we get to when we get into the spoilers, because I believe that I don't agree with that. Yeah, no, that's fine, because you didn't really spoil anything. You just said the first person that dies, because spoiler, guess what? Somebody dies in the film. I mean, without saying. But
they tell you who in the first.
Yeah, they tell you, and it's somebody dies. They tell you as soon as you go in, and that's the thing about this story that I love so much is when you go in, it starts off just basically she's telling the story of the, I guess the expedition. We're gonna call it an expedition, you know, into this. It's called the Shimmer. Am I correct? It's the Shimmer, right?
Yes.
It's been a while since we've seen it. Into the Shimmer. And basically, you know, she's in this marriage. Her husband, you know, was on this, I guess, voyage mission inside of the Shimmer. And he goes in, and nobody has ever come out of the Shimmer. Nobody's ever come out. And her husband comes back out of the Shimmer, and he's not himself. Let's just put it that way. This is all in the trailer, by the way, guys. So I'm not really spoiling a lot. It's all in the trailer. But he comes out of the Shimmer, and he's not himself, and he gets his organs start failing. You know, he starts declining health wise, and so these people decide to go into the Shimmer. You know, you have the cast, which you go and you had Jennifer Jason Leigh. You have Natalie Portman. You have the girl Gina Rodriguez. That's her name, right? That's the girl from Jane the Virgin. Which I was my dad used to watch that show. I never was in it. I'm not really big into kind of like those kind of shows, but she was in it. And the girl from Guardians of the Galaxy.
There's Tessa Thompson.
Yes.
She was in Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok, I'm sorry. She was in Thor.
And Tuva Novatini.
Yeah, I wasn't really into like you guys know, my dad is into Marvel. I'm not really, call me blasphemous, I don't know.
I haven't even seen Thor Ragnarok. I just really like her as an actress. So I'm not really into I keep telling myself I'm gonna watch it, but then I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't tickle my fancy very much. But anyways, I think the story, it starts off, you know, she's telling basically what's happening in this sort of voyage, and they go in, and all of a sudden things start going out of whack. Their compasses start going out of whack. You know, they have no service. Of course, you know, you're in this kind of I guess you can call it like a vortex kind of. It's like another feel of another dimension, I guess, best way to put it, where, you know, they start mutating, cells start things start going out of whack without, I'm not going to totally spoil it, but anyways, things start getting, I guess cells start coming crossed, I guess, best way to put it. They start combining, you have interspecies, it gets very complex in its story, but contrary to what y'all said, I did find the best way. I did find the conclusions of the characters very satisfying. So, like you said, Brian, you said you didn't feel like the characters had their story fully developed. Is that what you said? They didn't have their upcomings, I guess.
The resolutions, I should say.
Mm-hmm. They're the resolutions. Okay. Well, I guess we all say, I'm going to say I like the story. Brian, I guess he's saying that he was least satisfied with the story. Is that the best way to put it?
I had a little problem with that and something else, but otherwise I liked the story for what it was.
Okay. Well, I really like this story, and I guess I'm going to go over here to OCD, and OCD main comment was, eh.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't know, I guess I've been overexposed to sci-fi where it's just like, this is the route we're taking. Okay.
I mean, I don't hate the story at all. I mean, there's certain things I loved about it, like the creature aspect, the whole shimmer. I won't spoil what happens, but like it's beautiful inside the shimmer, and it's that's part of what makes the story and the effects work so well together. You know.
Well, it has the 4 chapters in it, and it's so weird because I had a discussion about this right after I saw the film, and I had so much to say about this film, and that's why I need to stop waiting so long, because right after I saw this film, I went to Phoenix, and then and then I went and I worked that full week, and so I feel like I kind of bought, and that's the thing about the film too, is I didn't really realize about the film is, although I really, really enjoyed it when I saw it, it didn't resonate with me. Because usually films, when I watch them, I could tell you exactly what points of the film kind of reached me. And although it was awesome and it was executed wonderfully, I think, the story, it still isn't memorable. I guess the best way I could put it. It's not very memorable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I have looking at my notes I have here now. The good thing about my notes is that I separate everything from gore, musical score to plot, and
the score.
Yeah.
There was a score?
I'm a hater.
There's a score.
Yeah, near the end there especially it was, but it was kind of...
that acoustic guitar was driving me nuts watching it.
It was all very... I called it loud and psychedelic.
Yeah, I was expecting the trailer, the music from the trailer. I was expecting that.
It happened once near the end.
How'd it go? OCD, how'd it go?
Yeah, it was great. I love that sound. It was great. I think, who did the score? Was that Tom York?
Let me look.
Did the score?
I don't think it was Tom York.
It was
Jeff
like
Barrow and Ben Salisbury.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, well, what's Tom York doing the score too?
Yeah, he did. Fuck, what did he do? I know what he did.
Because some annoying film nerd I know is going on about Tom York.
You think there was just some like dude like smoking a
well, no, it wasn't psychedelic enough. I thought it was gonna be heavy synthesizers and just
that's what I was thinking too.
And it was just a acoustic guitar that made me feel like, okay, I'm playing The Last of Us. Where's Ellie and Joel? So they can just.
Did you feel like you were at a battle of the bands in high school or something?
It was just. It didn't
fame.
Heighten. It didn't enhance the scenes for me. It didn't bring any, because he would do it too, like during like whatever will show up and attack or something, and then you get acoustic guitar after the scene. It's like, what is this?
I think sorry, go ahead.
That was just it. Just what is this?
The best way I described it was while it did leave me breathless in some scenes, it wasn't a masterpiece. And what I mean by breathless is like the music gets so loud that you start to be kind of tense up, but then when it's done, you're like, that was it.
Yeah, I get you. I understand that totally. I totally get what you're saying because that happens too much.
Yeah, and also like when it's making you feel breathless, you're expecting something really amazing to happen, especially near the end, and that doesn't really come to fruition. Not spoiling anything, but like it could have been so much bigger to accompany the score.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Well, that makes sense. I got that. So.
Yeah.
That concludes our music portion.
The non-existent music portion.
So, all right, guys. So this one, I'm actually going to hand over to our friend OCD here, being the only man who's actually read the novel. We're going to go on his rant of, and this will contain spoilers, guys, but his rant of movie versus book.
It sucked. it was nothing like the book. And sorry, I was trying to tweet live. So, but it's wanting. Apparently, it wants me to see all these boring pictures of people, but it like doesn't want me to tweet something.
Oh yeah.
Failed to send.
Ben Grimm said he finished writing. The director or writer, I should say, finished writing the script before he knew it to be a trilogy.
Well, the
trilogy came out way before the.
Well, maybe he didn't know it was a trilogy. He was basing it off one of the books. I don't know.
He knew it was a trilogy. He said he just read the first book, and that's all he was going to read.
But what I don't understand is the last book is called Acceptance. Acceptance, and that kind of plays on the point of the ending. So yeah. I thought
it's the same. She accepts it in Annihilation. Her character does, which her character, they don't have names in the book. They're just biologists, and then there's I think an anthropologist.
Oh, that's cool.
Who was Tessa Thompson? Tessa Thompson was supposed to be her, and then I can't remember. The linguist never joined them in the book. The linguist entered the Shimmer and was like, "Screw this, I'm out." And
she left. So she was everybody. She was the smart girl in every horror film. But instead they kill her.
And she apparently got just terrified, nauseated, and just left.
Well, the linguist is the first person to die.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that when they all enter the Shimmer, they wake up 4 days later not remembering anything.
Exactly, and that's when the whole they lost.
That made me so mad. That made me so mad that they did that, because I was thinking, oh, this is this part of the book. No, it was not. They just woke up 4 days later for a reason.
With their tents made and everything, and they're still not dehydrated or anything. It's kind of weird. Like maybe
go ahead.
Well, like OCD, like what's your opinion? Okay, movie aside, what was your opinion of the story of the book already?
The story of the book is awesome. The story of the book is fantastic. It is like he read the synopsis on IMDb and decided to write a script around that.
Oh no.
It was, I mean, he really did. He didn't adapt anything, but just women go into this area, which it was called Area X in the book, and I don't even think they referred to it as the Shimmer. They just called it Area X. And it's like, oh yeah, we're going to Area X, and it's just the women. And they had, in the book, they had sent expeditions like they had in the movie, but they weren't sending soldiers and stuff. They did that at the very beginning of the expeditions. They were I believe the 12th expedition in the book.
Okay. So they did play on the point that there had been previous expeditions.
Yeah, there had been previous expeditions, and the first few were military, and then they were like, okay, this isn't working because they're just not coming back. And so they started to send in like scientists, and then they weren't coming back, or they would come back changed. And so they started just mixing it up to see if they could get a reaction from the area. Like if we send all men in, okay, well, maybe if we send all women in.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what I'm trying to figure that out. Like, were they trying to see if they sent a woman in, if there'd be a change, or were they
well, they're going that's what they were scientific. Trying to do. Well, because they even said that in the film. I don't think they elaborated as much. I took it, when I saw it, I took it as a scientific method when she said we're going to try with women. But I talked to another friend of mine who's seen it, and she was like, I loved it how they had such a girl power message. I was like, no, I really didn't take it as a girl power message. I took it as a scientific, they took it as a scientific kind of observation, because they go with all these men.
Yeah.
And they're saying these kind of prime, like very territorial. Well, at the time, I'm not going to, when they were sitting there, they were thinking that these people were going mad, basically. And it was going through like all these kind of just, I guess there's no cabins, but like a cabin fever aspect of just them going crazy. So they're like, maybe if we have women go in, because they're looking at more of kind of like, I guess a pre kind of set mind to where there's not as much territory, I guess the best way to put it. I don't know. But I don't think they dove. I'm sorry, guys. I've had a long day. I've been up since 4 this morning, so please be patient with me. When I don't get sleep, I say I don't sound right. Anyways, but they took it more as, I think when they were saying it, it was more of kind of like, perfect example. It was a line I think one of the girls said. They're like, we're all going in. They're like, all girls? She goes, no, all scientists. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I think I remember that line. And I was kind of like, wait a minute. I thought it was more kind of
scientists. I mean, really, only Natalie Portman truly did anything.
Yeah, but
the rest just stood around like, what?
When was the book written? Like, what? Let me see what.
2011, I believe, is when it came out. No, it was it was just a few years ago, I think.
So it's not like an older adaptation.
14.
Yeah, so that's what made me think about myself. The trailer. You know what vibe I really got was The Descent, which came out in 2005.
Yeah.
2014, so not even that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe they're trying to make it more like The Descent, where 5 women go exploring and something happens. But totally different, but just have the 5 same characters. That's what I first thought. But then I saw the movie and they had that explanation, and I was like, oh, that's kind of different,
And that was another thing about the film that I kind of had more of. Well, let's go ahead and get the next subject, because I want to go ahead and spoil the hell out of this film. So, I want to spoil the hell out of this film. Let's go ahead and go into the acting, okay? I will knock this out. I love the acting.
Yeah, the acting's good.
The acting was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very surprised of Rodriguez's character. Is it Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin? She epitomizes, like, she just had the start of the film. She's just this wonderful, friendly person, and you can see through she kind of took addiction. Because addiction is a mindset of just, I guess, I'm not going to act like I'm not an addict, so I can't sit here and I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I'm not pronounced in this frame of thinking. But from what I understand from friends of mine who are addicts, it's about having some sort of control, whether it be their feelings, where they're coming from, kind of like having a substance to control the feelings that they have, if that makes sense. And her decline was so just, you could feel like just in certain scenes, you can feel like kind of like the decline, like not so much like a rapid decline, but slowly kind of just hitting to points into the part that we'll get to the finale when we spoil to the finale of her character. It was because you saw in the beginning, you know, she's very like, hey, you know, and the beginning part, you know, when they're sitting at the table, it was very pronounced when you notice when she comes, and these are little things that I noticed, and now they're coming back to me now that I'm talking about them. When she walks around the table, they're all drinking beer. Okay, when she walks around the table, you see her take a pause. And she looks at the cooler and she looks up again. And it's like this kind of like, she's looking at this, she looks at the cooler, she looks up again. And I noticed, I was like, why does she look at the cooler? And then she sits down and you see her open up a root beer. And then that's when you start learning more about a character, how she suffered from alcoholism. And
okay. I didn't get that.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, that's going to play into this somehow. And then, like I said, you know, we had the other character, you know, with her cutting and her being depressed, and the other girl who lost her child. You see these characters, and this kind of comes in the story, so I'm going to go ahead and get on to this point. I'm going to go to effects, because this a lot of people didn't notice a lot of this stuff, but I looked into films, and it helps that I was by myself, too. So I could really kind of put myself in the film, but her character with just her acting, she made the film. I believe she made the film. Natalie Portman was great, but Rodriguez made the film. She was fantastic. And her ending speech, you know, was amazing. She goes, and that it just kind of put her addiction in a nutshell, because she's sitting there and she goes, what am I? Am I crazy? Please tell me I'm crazy. I don't know what is anymore. This is why I can't do this. And you could see like all that kind of come to, I guess, just come to place, come to surface in that. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
Are we in the spoilers now, or?
We'll go ahead and spoil it. I mean, we only have a few people watching, because I kid you not, I messaged everybody, and everybody was like, oh, Amanda, we would love to do it, but we haven't seen the film. Nobody has seen this film.
No, I was going to say, because I have a spoiler to talk about that was pretty significant to the film.
Oh, no, go ahead, because I have a feeling that once this movie starts, because if I remember correctly, just hold on, Brian, OCD, you said that they actually have it on Netflix in England.
Yeah. Well, it's available everywhere in the world except for US, Canada. So
the major places.
Yeah, the major places, that the money countries.
Yeah, not really. I mean, if they would have released this in like China or something, it probably would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know, America is like, if you would have, you know, like, it's not $20 for a box of popcorn in Korea. I tell you that. So. But yes, Brian, go ahead and go to the spoilers. Go ahead and mention what you were saying about the acting.
Well, there's the subplot. I don't know if you guys will know what I'm talking about right away, but it goes absolutely nowhere. Does
this have to do with the acting? Because the subplot is actually what we're talking about next.
Starts with an A.
Okay, I know you're talking about. So I guess we're going to get into that, because I have a whole discussion about that too.
Wait, how does it go into the effects? The AF, you know?
Because we have the acting effects, we have the scare factor, and then we have
but this has to do with the acting and the plot.
I thought you were talking about the screams.
No. AFAIR. Affair, pretty much.
All right, yes, I'm sorry. AF, I thought you meant, I thought when you said AF, I thought you meant FX.
Oh, FX, yeah.
I thought you were talking about the bear scene. That's why I was going to that. But no, go ahead.
I could see how she kind of grew, but it didn't lead to anything.
And that's the thing about the story too. Like, I'm glad you mentioned this, because it kind of did lead to something.
Wait, before you start,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't need it.
Oh, no. I just wanted to say before we start this, I want to say what it actually is, so people know.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Oh, yes, you're right.
So she has an affair with one of her coworkers, because before her husband disappears, because he's always on leave and he's in the army and stuff. So she has an affair, and she does feel bad about it. I'll give her.
She doesn't.
No. She does at the end, near the end, not right away.
Yeah.
Are we doing? Were you doing spoilers?
Yeah, we're doing spoilers.
Okay, everyone
has
keeps
seen
saying
this
we're
film.
not, and then we say we are.
Well, we were.
The spoilers are nothing.
We were gonna do spoilers until the end, but the thing about it is, we only have like 3 viewers, and I have a feeling the only people that are watching are the people who have seen the film.
Yeah.
Plus,
so,
a lot of
people didn't enjoy the conversation because a lot of people haven't seen the film. And my friend even told me, I was like, hey, do you want to go to the chat? He goes, man, I really want to, but I don't want the movie to be spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, once you step into the spoilers, you gotta continue with the spoiler mark. Even if it's not a spoiler, it's still in that section. People are gonna be able to know when and where it's gonna start and stop. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right about the affair. I forgot about the affair. And see, that's the problems I have. What we need to start doing, guys, is other than waiting so long, we need to just, after we see it, we just need to go ahead and just do it.
Yeah.
Because I put this off too long because I went to Phoenix and then, I had the stuff going on with my client and everything y'all know. So I had so much going on, so I kind of lost so much of stuff. And now that's why I'm glad I have Brian, because Brian, when did you see this film, Brian?
I saw this film, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I already did my review for it, and I mentioned the subplot. I didn't really go too far into it because I didn't want to spoil anything, but I said it didn't lead to anything. I think I did. I think I did. I know that's what I was feeling.
Well, I remember that because whenever they first showed the affair happening, it made you think that, like, because in the beginning of the film, her husband's gone and he's missing, and you think they're doing it while he's gone.
No, actually, at first you think she's doing it with him, but then all of a sudden, a couple scenes later,
you're right.
They reveal that it's someone else.
Yeah, you're right. Like, first they make you think that it's her husband, and then it turns around and it's the guy, and you think, oh, well, this is after her husband left. That's why she doesn't want to go to the barbecue. And then he goes, your husband is gone, which goes back to the beginning. If you remember the beginning of the film, where he invites her to the barbecue because he's with a new woman now, and he goes, go into the barbecue, won't betray him. And you're thinking betray him like you moving on isn't gonna betray him. You think that's what he means.
Else.
You think he means by, hey, you going to this party is not gonna betray his memory. When really, in the middle of the film, you find out that he meant by not betraying him is, oh, just because you've had sex with me, just because you did, doesn't mean you're betraying him. You just felt lonely. And that hit on a lot of levels for me because I grew up in the military, okay? My family, I have seen so many marriages. Yeah. What are you talking about, OCD? You're like,
Oh, I just know a marriage that was run by military. That's all.
Yeah, and a lot of people, just the cheating, the
and
everything.
then
It's just
told
it's
never date anyone that's been in the military.
Dear John letters.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things that are just like, you don't see coming. So like they adapted it in this, they just put it in this film, and you're just like, wow. And it's so relevant to the story without really being that irrelevant. It just and that's the whole thing. That I'm very surprised that this film was not based on all 3 books rather than one. You what?
I said goodnight, Dino.
Night, Dino.
Oh, are you guys keeping it? I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read.
Dino is going to sleep.
All right, Dino. Good night. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
I spelled adios right. I kind of.
How many people in the comments have actually seen this film?
Ben.
Yeah,
Grimm.
I don't know yet. I don't know anything about that.
And Ben Grimm he usually has really good taste, anyways. I don't know about this one, Ben, but usually.
The subplot was, I understand why it was there, but it was tinkering so much on the it was needed, it wasn't needed.
She was so hell-bent on this stupid redemption arc, which again is so not in the book at all. Her character had so little backstory in the book. The only thing we knew really, I mean, they do get into her childhood some, but not really so much that like, oh, my daddy beat me or anything weird like that. It's just she was always disconnected. Like her biggest childhood experience was discovering tadpoles in a pool where her parents had lived, because their parents were just poor. That was it. That was their great big backstory. They were poor.
Really?
And so she discovered there was a swimming pool that they had in their backyard, an above ground pool, had pretty much developed like into a frog habitat, and she becomes obsessed with it and becomes more attached to that and figuring out the science behind it all. And that becomes her driving motivation in life. It's just everything is clinical. She's cold. She's just detached from humanity. And that was part of her problems with her marriage was
they should have put
in the book. Exactly. But in the book, her problems with her marriage was, yes, her husband was the type more faith-based, not religious, but just faith-based, of just we're looking at the same stars, like he said in the movie. He was more of a romantic, and she was like, I don't have these kinds of feelings. I just like my science. If they would have
dived into that, that would have been such a great story.
And she did not go into the shimmer for him. She already knew he was going into it in the book, and she was jealous because he was going to be able to figure out something that she wanted to figure out.
I actually got something that kind of relates to that.
Yeah.
Today, it's not even a horror movie, but don't laugh. I was watching Miss Congeniality for the first time. It was just on TV.
That's scary enough, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
The thing is, they had a childhood backstory in that thing that was 3 minutes, and it set up her character so much better than anything in this movie. Setting up her characters are with her husband, and
Brad, I love you, but you're comparing Annihilation to Miss Congeniality. I love you.
No, I'm comparing it. I'm not comparing it. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm messing with you. You know that.
No, I know. I mean, the whole backstory she had was like 3 minutes. They could have done that with this movie, but instead they chose to go the cliche, oh, he's in the army and he's not home enough, you know?
Yeah, they were both in the army in the book, but he was actually...
They were in the movie too.
Unlike I don't remember her name off the top of my head, the Jane the Virgin lady.
Gina Rodriguez, is that what you said?
I think Gina?
Oh, the lesbian EMT.
Yeah.
Yeah, you also get the hint that she's a lesbian in the movie. I don't know if she was in the book, but
they had nothing. They didn't talk about their personal lives. The only character you knew about was Natalie Portman's personal life.
Yeah,
in the book, her character.
But see, that's what frustrates me though, because now OCD, now you're kind of like selling the movie off of me, because I would have loved that backstory.
I was really
that backstory would have played a part of it.
That's why I felt just so annoyed by the movie, because it was just trying. And it's funny because Paramount said that her character was too unlikable in the movie, and Ben mentioned the affair making in the chat, making him not like Natalie Portman. But I thought she was too likable in the movie.
I do believe that. I believe that too. And that's the thing that's like frustrating, is because but the thing is, like, whenever she goes into the shimmer, I did have an idea, the fact that, like, I didn't think she was going in for him. She had her own, although she did love him, she had her own, affection and, just a love for him. I do believe that most of it was due to curiosity of her finding out what was in the shimmer.
But, sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
There was this scene where he first comes back, and she doesn't seem to believe it. Like, that's a really good performance scene where she runs up to him and is kind not poking him, but like feeling his shoulders, saying "Don't go" and stuff. Like he was a vision, So you can see that maybe she was plagued by the visions of him returning, and then they turn out to be fake, or dreams, even maybe. So maybe that is part of that could play a big part into the reason why she left to go into the Shimmer. But also, curiosity is definitely a big part of that too.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. That really does. You guys want to get to the one topic that I know everybody wants to talk about?
The effects.
Yes. How'd you know?
The gore, the effects.
Yes, dude. All right, Brian. You've been wanting to talk about this, bro, so I'm gonna let you lead.
All right. So, I thought the effects were overdone at the end. Like, it was just too much. But the rest, like the crocodile or alligator, I can never tell the difference. I'm sorry.
That's why I love you, Brian, because you have the best fucking opinion.
The alligator and crocodile looks great.
Yes.
For a crocodile or alligator as it could, because it moved
Alligator
like
shark.
But it was a crocodile / what? It was a crocodile shark.
Yeah, but it wasn't like in the movie Primeval. Hint, I'm reviewing that with Fedora soon. But in that movie, the crocodile was bouncing up and all over the place. This one kind of waddled like a normal crocodile, and it was fast because it was just getting out of the water. It's all slippery, and the Shimmer itself was an odd illusion of effects that was just. It made me think of like a let's say plastic wrap and like certain lights underneath it, but it was really cool. They could have done it with practical effects, I think, if they did it right.
I'm sorry. You know what you remind me of? You remind me of when you said plastic wrapping lights. You remember that whenever back in school you used to put the lights in the plastic bag and you used to like the puppet shit? That's what you reminded me of. When you said that. I don't know. That's what we did when we were kids. I don't know. We didn't have internet. We didn't have Al Gore didn't invent the interweb when I was a kid. So we had to find plastic bags.
The big thing that was sorry.
I was just gonna say to somewhat counter that I did like that this is nothing really, not an effect, but it created an illusion of an effect where he would like put the camera behind a window or something that still gave the shimmer effect. That was
I know what you're talking about. Like it would be like a window or something that resembles the shimmer.
Yeah, that was cool.
But the big thing that everyone's talking about, not just us, is that fucking bear.
And that's what I wanted to get at. Okay.
So not the book.
Before you get to the bear, I have something to say real quick. Because you guys remind me of something that was pretty amazing in the film. That goes back to the ending. But remind me, guys, because this is like a big discussion about the ending that we're going to talk about with Judgment, okay? Remind me to mention the water glass, okay? All right, so now I'm going to let Brian go ahead and finish his segue to the bear.
The bear, I mean, I kind of knew that it was coming to be
Stop
that
rolling your
way.
eyes, OCD.
No, the bear was cool.
Oh, okay.
But like when I heard her, when the dead girl screams, I kind of was like, oh, that's probably just the bear. But then the bear never makes the same kind of sound again. It sounds like her, but it never forms perfect words like it did when she screamed the first time. I was kind of confused by that.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll explain that to you then. I'll tell you.
Oh, she was changing. She was changing then, I guess.
No, what happened was, remember they were talking about cells, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm not big on science. I do understand cells, and I do understands. I'm not that smart, guys. I'm just a nerd. I'm a nerd. I read, but I don't know anything about science. But the way they described it in the film is cells are regenerating in a fast rate and grabbing on and kind of transforming themselves into kind of, they weren't the regular kind of cells that kind of stayed within a species. And guys, if I sound dumb, just tell me to shut up. But they weren't staying within a species. They were developing at a rapid rate and grabbing onto others. And that was the aspect of being in the shimmer, of just things grabbing onto themselves. So whenever, they came in, they realized that they were changing themselves. And what they do is they grab on the prominent cells. And that comes into play of prominent cells of like people say that like addiction, depression, and stuff are major particular mental disorders that kind of morph into themselves. So how I saw it, and I could be wrong, and guys, you can say I'm stupid all day long, I don't care, but how I saw it was these primal thoughts morph themselves into cells, and then they grasped into that and then kind of went from there. And that went into like the interspecies. So whenever the bear, you notice he had a skull on his face, okay? Because he's never morphed. Because they went and, do you remember the shimmers around a lighthouse? Okay?
Yep.
What I'm thinking is that the bear actually wasn't alive, but dead previously.
And
And
it's decaying.
He's decaying, exactly. So it was brought to the cells of the parasites that were feeding on it.
But wait, what killed her then?
That's what I'm getting at. So
Okay.
the bear was dead previously, and it morphed into parasites that were feeding on it, whether it was like rat, whatever it be. It morphed into the cells of the parasites. Therefore, when it was awakened, it didn't have a predominant cell. So when it fed off the girl, it took its cell from the girl and morphed its voice.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and then it was set in itself. So that's that's what I took from it. I don't know if that's dumb or
that makes more sense than what I was thinking. I was just thinking he took her voice and that was it.
Well, that's how I saw it. And because his face was never he still had a skull face, if you remember.
Yeah.
So that's what I took from it. So
what else I don't get is how they found her body kind of in between like some roots and or stems out of the tree, and they never did anything with that. Like she could have turned into something else, you know. Well, but they did that later on. They did that later on with the other character, but not her.
And the thing about that too is you guys are remembering a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about that. And the reason they did that is because it's actually poetic to what she said about her daughter. She lost her daughter, and she said, "I wish they would have just let her peace and die." And so you took what she said about her daughter, okay, about her having peace and die, because she said that her daughter died of, I believe it was, excuse me, the wine's making me burp. Sorry, guys. But she took the whole story of her daughter dying of leukemia. I believe it was.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. And they took that, and she goes, "I just wish she would have lived her life and died." So she had other than the other character, she went right away. She went fast. And you had to think about it. She talked about how her daughter like suffered and died.
How would the Shimmer know that? Like it's not like they could read minds too.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It's a foreshadowing, a pronounced thought.
Oh, it's a foreshadowing for the audience, not for the Shimmer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a pronounced thought of herself, and it's foreshadowing of the audience, because you notice when she's dead, she screamed for fear. She screamed out. And in the beginning of the film, she said, "I wish I could just scream to the sky."
But now she's permanently stuck as a deformed bear.
Exactly. She's constantly screaming to the sky, so.
Yeah, no, what I was saying before was like her dead body. Why didn't
Well, that's what I was getting at. If you saw her body, she was laying dead, and you see her throat was ripped out. It was a quick death versus the death that she talked about she wished her daughter had.
Oh, and like, so when
they were kind of just showing, you know.
No, I know, but like, I was thinking that if she was dead, she wouldn't have any proper cells to make anything in the Shimmer.
Yes, but did you notice when she was laying, there was vines growing around her?
Oh yeah. I remember that. I thought,
so yeah.
I think when I saw that, I thought they were maggots. That's what
there were vines growing around her, because that brings up to the second girl.
Yeah.
And that comes to the third novel. What is it? It's Annihilation. What's the next one? OCD?
Acceptance.
The third one's Acceptance.
Authority. Authority is the second one.
Yeah.
Acceptance is the third book.
So, but yeah, but other than that, what else did you think?
Oh, the effects. I think that scene where the bear finally came and then he ripped the girl's throat and jaw off, and one clean swipe was awesome. Like,
It was pretty good.
It shows how strong it was. Like even if it was dead, you could tell it still had strength in its muscles and tendons.
Yeah.
Enough, so it's you could tell that it's slowly growing, and also if you think about it, bears, if they kill somebody and they go for the throat, they don't have the mass to rip off jaw and throat. You know.
No, they don't.
So this thing was obviously bigger than a normal bear. So something must have been big before, like something different, but even before the shimmer came, or it was already there when the shimmer happened and it just died.
But that's where I was getting at with. Let me elaborate. Like that's what I was getting at with the whole thing about the parasite, because a lot of these parasites are stronger than their body mass. So you have like rats, you have maggots, you have bugs, you have all these things like ants, for example, can carry 3 times their body weight.
Yep.
So you have this decaying bear, you know, and you have all these cells that are generating from this one body, which could be, you know, ants, it could be God knows what. So you're taking each aspect of all these parasites and creatures. So there's no telling you, there probably could have been a couple ants in the dead body, which kind of brought to point this extremely strong bear that can pick up 3 times its body weight.
Well, also the size, like it was noticeably had more girth than a normal bear. So, before it was killed, it had to have been pretty big.
So so there's many aspects of that. So
yeah, there's so many layers to this movie.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I love about the film, because it has so many layers to it itself. OCD, what did you think about the effects, honey?
They're mostly okay. Whenever they were shooting the ala shark, croca shark, whatever you want to call it, the CGI blood was like,
yeah,
that's ugly. That's real ugly. Why are we still doing this?
I got you there.
The bear's movements when it was in the light wasn't quite on point. It was a little off.
You can't, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you could tell the muscle texture wasn't really moving along the way it was walking. Like you watch something like Jurassic Park 3, and you can see every muscle movement. I know the movie's not that great, but the effects, you can see all the muscle tone moving. But with the bear in that scene, you can't really see.
They knew what they were doing with Jurassic, the first 3 Jurassic Park movies, anyways, as far as effects, anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
story, but effects.
Guys, I feel so bad because we've been enthralled in conversation, and I haven't been paying attention to the comments.
Leo McKenna was just saying that he really loves the soundtrack, and then he says that It Follows is the best soundtrack ever.
I think the best soundtrack ever, we can get off topic for a second. I think the best soundtrack ever is actually, everyone's going to make fun of me, but I loved 28 Days Later.
Oh, really? That's cool.
That was a good use of acoustic guitar, but it also had electric guitar and stuff in it with it.
But I will always go to Clint Marshall, his Revenge, and I don't care what anybody says, but Thomas Newman, I don't care what anybody says.
They reused the crap
out
of
Thomas
that.
Newman.
No, not that. I was just saying they reused the crap out of the 28
Clint Marshall, yeah, they did.
Song.
They did. Yes, they did. Well,
and other movie trailers and stuff.
Well, he has multiple songs, but you're talking about the Requiem song, aren't you?
No, Requiem for a Dream. They reused that song.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They used it. They used it in so many films. They
used it in the trailer for the Two Towers.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Because you know how I found
I
out
remember
about that?
watching the trailer. It's like, why am I in Requiem for a Dream? This is the Lord of the Rings. What's happening?
That's just like Danny Elfman. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what? Like,
Yeah, but they 28 Days Later song. I can't. There's no point in me trying to hum it or anything because it's just a do do do
Yeah,
do 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 do.
no, but even the song at the ending credits is amazing. But I don't care what people say, but I love Thomas Newman. Like Road to Perdition, Road to Perdition, Angels in America, you know, American Beauty. I love all his music.
My favorite, I actually have a top 3 favorite for musical scores.
Oh yeah.
Number 3 would be Orca, which is it's because that
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, Brad. I love you for it, sweetheart. I love you for it. That's why I love you, boo boo.
And then the second would be a tie between Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World.
Well, Jurassic World is just a revamping of Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, there's some other aspects to it that really work really well too. That are new songs that I thought worked really well for the film. But my favorite one is actually the 1954 Godzilla soundtrack.
That actually is awesome. That I didn't think about that one. That's a really good one, Brian.
There's so many feels in that soundtrack.
You know what, guys? This is why y'all are my two YouTube besties. Other than Dino. Dino couldn't make it tonight, but these are the guys that like deal with my stupid opinions.
Hello, Fuego.
I mean, the Godzilla soundtrack. I mean, there's so many layers of feelings in that thing. Like you could have terror, you could have somber sequences of music, you could have songs that will make you cry, songs that make you scream in terror if you were thinking about it the way I do. Like whenever the soundtrack starts, you hear the Godzilla footsteps.
Yeah.
And then you're instantly thrown into that world. And then you're like, holy crap, if there's actually a 100-foot or 300-foot dinosaur coming towards me, what would I do? You know?
Well, I have an off-topic question then, because we have 3 points left, and I'm going to go ahead and ask this question because I'm curious. All right, guys. I have... What is your favorite post-credit scene?
Oh, that's a good one.
Post-credits?
In a film. Best post-credit scene in a film.
Well,
I'm gonna let OCD go first because he just gave me that go to hell look, so he has to go first.
Post-credit scene in a film?
That's what
I just had
when
one
you
flash
go
in
to
my
hell
head, and then it went away as soon as it flashed.
I got one.
See, that's what happens.
Post-credits.
OCD. I can't. I'm not used to calling you OCD, but anyways. OCD. This is what happens when you flash a minute and go to hell look when I say something is you forget it right away.
Post-credits for movie scenes.
I have this natural tendency to miss the post-credit scenes when I'm in the theater or from watching a movie. Like, oh, the movie's over, let's go. Oh, there's a post-credit scene I missed. No.
You want to know what's so funny about that? I'm gonna interrupt you for a second. You know what's really funny is like me and fucking when we went to go see The Strangers 2 screening. Like after the film, it was just me and Fuego. We were sitting there and we were watching it, and we got up and we were walking out of the theater, and I was holding my popcorn or I was holding my food, and I was walking out, and I was like, there might be a post-credits scene. He goes, yeah, there might be. So he literally stood in the aisle while people are leaving and like watching it, and he goes, if there's not gonna be a post-credits scene, I'm gonna be pissed. And I was like, I don't think there is. And then all of a sudden it got blank, and he goes, fuck this movie. I was like, all right.
That's why usually one of the movies over, I look up to see if there is one. Like, I look up on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, I did that.
Back in the day, it used to not happen, except, like, very rarely. And then now it happens all the time.
Yeah. Do you want me to say mine while he looks for his, or do you want to just wait for,
I know what mine is.
I know what mine is, too.
My favorite post-credit scene recently, I have a couple that are my favorite, but my favorite post-credit scene recently has to be, guys, wait for it, because my brother's watching, which he's not. He'll watch it later, but he knows what I'm about to say.
You better not say what I'm going to think.
Kong fucking Skull Island.
Oh, that's a really good one. That's what I was thinking.
I fucking died. I died.
Want to hear mine?
Yes, I want to hear yours. What's yours?
The 5-second after credit scene of Evil Dead.
Which one?
The remake where they had Ash come up and he's like,
I
I was like, oh, we're getting something with Ash.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I fast forwarded through the whole Evil Dead movie just to see that after credit scene.
I love the Evil Dead
What?
remake.
That movie's that's actually a really good remake.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it, guys. You know.
Why? Jane Levy's a very good actress.
No, after seeing Don't Breathe and Spring, I do want to watch that film. But guys,
Oh, is
it's
she
a
in
hard time
Spring?
for me to see. No, he is in Spring.
Oh yeah, the guy who stupidly reads from the deck.
Yeah, he's in Spring.
You might, yeah, Amanda, you might actually hate me for this, but my Evil Dead ranking so far, without the TV series, is number 4, Army of Darkness. Number 3 is a tie with number 2 is Evil Dead remake and Evil Dead 2, and number 1 is the original Evil Dead.
All right, guys. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna tell you this because my friend Brian, the other day you were talking about unpopular opinions, and a lot of people didn't appreciate your. Everybody's kind of like, oh, your unpopular opinions. I got an unpopular opinion that a lot of people fucking yell at me about and hate me over. And I'm gonna say it right now, commenters are probably gonna stop watching this as soon as I say it. But y'all ready for it?
Yep.
Death Note was not that bad.
Oh no, I like Death Note actually.
I didn't care.
Death Note was not the worst fucking horror film. I'm sorry, guys. I actually like Death Note. Everybody hated that fucking film. And
everyone
I
hated
had
it. And I saw the anime too, and I was fine with it.
Yeah, 2017, we had a countdown of worst and best horror films. And then we had one film that we called The Wrongly Accused. Matt picked Leatherface.
I didn't like Leatherface. I didn't like that movie.
I picked Death Note. I picked Death Note because I was like, Death Note was not that bad. I actually thought it was such a good. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I loved it.
I didn't expect it to be this big, dramatic, whatever. I just thought this looks fun.
Yeah,
this looks like it wants to have fun. And from the soft rock soundtrack and stuff, I was like, yeah, this movie is just meant to be fun. And that's what I took away from it.
Do you know what I think is another unpopular opinion of mine?
What?
I don't hate. They're actually kind of somewhat guilty pleasures. The Resident Evil movie series.
You know what?
I hate Resident Evil.
I hate Resident Evil. Let me tell you something. I hate Resident Evil, but let me pull my camera up. Do you guys see? I have a framed poster of 976 Evil.
I hate Resident Evil. Resident Evil is so boring. It's just so boring.
I really can't judge nobody.
It's not even that it's bad. It's just like
you know what's behind me? I have 2 posters I haven't framed yet. Orca and Full Moon High.
Whoa, Orca! I love Orca.
Well, no, oh my god. Okay, listen, Brian. Wait until you see what I have waiting for our episode. I got you something that you're gonna fucking flip and break over. It's fucking hilarious. Remember when I told you about Falk?
What is? Oh yeah, Falk. Yeah, the Boggy Creek.
You're gonna flip your shit because we found something that was hilarious. But we're gonna film it and it's gonna be hilarious.
Should I be scared?
No, I'm not gonna send you like a foot or nothing, dude. Don't worry.
No, I don't. But another unpopular opinion is that my last live stream.
What did you say, Chase? What did you say, Arsenio?
Oh, I was just agreeing with Ben in the chat that 976 Evil is better than Resident Evil. That's all.
Oh. Well, 976 Evil is hilarious, so y'all know that's.
I mean, the first 2 are bearable.
I hate the second one. My favorite's the third one.
Well, the second one is bearable because it's so bad. The third one, I just can't.
I think they tried with that one. That's
I can never make it. I've never watched a James Bond movie through, ever in my life.
James Bond.
Any James Bond. James Bond is just as bad. No, I'm kidding. No, James Bond's okay. But James Bond bores the crap out of me. I've tried to watch Casino Royale 6 times at least, and I fall asleep.
James Bond!
20 minutes, exactly 20 minutes in, I fall asleep every
you?
single time. I don't know. I'm so bored.
Unpopular.
Who dropped you?
But
unpopular. Sorry, go ahead.
that was how I felt. Like I've tried to watch Resident Evil Extinction. Just that's the third one, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Oh
tried
my
going
God.
into it, and it's the same thing as Casino Royale.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just out 20 minutes in.
What is
like
wrong with
birds on
you?
fire in the sky, I'm out.
Oh my God. Do not talk. Oh my God.
Another unpopular opinion. I love all the Jaws movies.
I
Every
love
single
all the
one.
Jaws movies, but let's get back to James Bond. How the fuck do you hate James Bond? Who dropped you? Shit. Oh my God. I'm about to go pull all my fucking Blu-rays
I don't
out.
know, y'all. You're gonna have to get someone like Idris Elba to play him for me to be able to say. I need
No.
super attractive James Bond for me to actually do it because Daniel
Did
Craig's not doing it.
Brosnan not give you a hard eye? He made my dick hard. Like, what's wrong with you?
Pierce Brosnan. How many diseases do you want to catch from that man?
Enough to get a hug.
I really love this. I'm taking it so far off topic now, but
I know we've been off topic because nobody wants to hear about Annihilation anymore.
Late 90s ish that SNL did the sketch of James Bond where he went in to get tested and he had like 100-something different STDs and so.
Oh guys, let's go ahead and get on the comments. Let's see who else. Let's get on the comments. So we can go ahead and get to who's here.
Doing his random crap.
Who's here?
Your boyfriend.
Fuego is doing his random crap.
Wait.
Sorry.
What are you talking about? My friend Fuego's here.
Sorry.
And
you're my boyfriend, Ben. You hear it in the mic? I'm pouring my blood. I'm not peeing. This is.
I played the game Fuego, but I didn't like it.
Hey Brian, you want to drink some wine with you? Honey, don't worry about it.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Honey, don't worry about it.
I mean, I can jump on Annihilation and continue to talk about how crap it was compared to the book. Well, okay, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is the psychologist.
Wait, what? Wait, Amanda was saying something.
Oh no, I was just blowing you kisses, honey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. The psychologist was amazing in the book. She was so weak in the movie. And I thought when I saw Jennifer Jason Leigh cast as a psychologist, I was like, oh, that is perfect casting.
Yes.
And then they took her entire story away from her and it was just like, you have cancer.
Well, didn't she have cancer in the book?
No.
Okay, so
we don't know anything in the book. This is my. I'm moving around. I'm shifting my body weight.
Yes.
That means I'm
Let's go
serious.
from beginning to end. Let's just go ahead and go from beginning to end, babe. Spoilers, go for it.
Well, I was gonna just say in the beginning, Natalie Portman's character, as well as the 4 other women, including the psychologist, have been training for this for about a year. I think it was about a year. They were training to go into Area X. And then they had to meet with a psychologist every single day. And so whenever they went into Area X and they would lose track of time, they found out that it was the psychologist, because the psychologist during their meetings was making them suggestible to hypnosis. And so the psychologist would say words like, Jason lives, scream. I'm looking at you right now, Brian. So that's why I'm saying that. And then they would just blank out and like gain courage or whatever to do whatever she wants them to do. She would just tell them, this is what you're going to do. And that's what I thought whenever they blacked out and couldn't remember the past 4 or 5 days. I thought, oh, the psychologist, this is where we go. It's like, but Natalie Portman's barely been there, so she doesn't really have time to be suggestible. So I was like, that's kind of rushed, but here we go. I love this story. And nah, she just had cancer. She just wanted to go die. So that was just... And Natalie Portman... Natalie Portman, she... In the book, whenever they enter the Area X, and they're about halfway to the lighthouse, but it's very early on in the book. They find a tunnel, which is the tunnel that's in the lighthouse, but that's an entire... I hated that they used the tunnel, but there was
just... That's the thing, though, that the tunnel, how significant was that in the actual book?
The tunnel was everything in the book. The tunnel...
Oh, wow.
They spend 3/4 of the book around the tunnel and talking about the tunnel and what does the tunnel mean. And Natalie Portman enters the tunnel, and it would have... Why did he take the tunnel out? Because it would have been so great cinematically, because Natalie Portman believes it's not a tunnel, it's a tower. And so whenever she enters it, she gets vertigo, because it's like she's entering it, she's going underground, but it's like she's standing at the top looking down.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he could have done some amazing camera tricks and stuff with that, and some great framing. And then Natalie Portman becomes infected becoming part of the Shimmer Area X.
Oh God, let's not go there because we have so much to say.
There's this writing on the walls that she can't read because the linguist pieced out at the beginning, and Natalie Portman gets a little too close, and then she finds out that the writing is actually spores growing on the walls, and she inhales it.
Yeah. Well,
that starts to change.
Well, that makes... okay. God damn it. OCD, thanks, OCD, for ruining a movie that I actually fucking liked. Now I'm pissed, because I'm like, that would have been such a great fucking story.
Agreed on Strangers 2 as well. Sorry.
No, we actually have... Let me go ahead and announce this. Guys, next week, we're actually doing guys, these are kind of like my homies of my... I'm a part of the Ghoul group that I love my girls, but these are my horror homies. I only have 2 of them. And that's these 2 guys right here, because they're the ones that they'll call me before a live stream and they'll see me curl my hair and do my makeup. And I'll be sitting there talking to them. They're like, Amanda, you missed the spot here. Amanda, what are you doing? You look stupid. Like, what are you doing?
That was all Brian. I wasn't even here.
Yeah, Brian was like, Amanda, no. And when I got the lipstick on my cheek, they're like, ha! Why did you tell her? Anyways, guys, but yeah, so we're doing actually a stream of Strangers 2. We're doing this is a new series we started now. It's gonna be OCD Horror and Brian Gatto. We're gonna do a new series called What Did We Just Watch?
Okay. I want to respond in voice to Fuego real quick. Fuego, there is nothing to compare the film to the book with. It is an adaptation in name only. As I said at the beginning of this, it's like when, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whenever they say based on true events, it really should have said inspired by the best-selling book, because it was not based on the book. It was so... It had a different message. It had different characters. They had a new character. It was missing one character. It was so bad. Everything, their entire character, motivation, personalities, everything was different. The plot was completely different. There was no bear. There was no crocoshark. There was nothing. There was one creature, which is at the very end of the book, and yeah, there's only one creature, and it's really complicated. I can talk about it if you want, but the creature has something to do with the lighthouse, and the lighthouse itself was a giant plot twist in the book. Whenever she gets to the lighthouse, and there is a hatch, not a tunnel, but there is a hatch, and she opens it and goes down into it. And the psychologist was also telling them, and along with the people over the government area of Area X, was that they need to write in their journals every day. And so she goes down into the hatch and discovers that there are way more journals in the hatch than 12 expeditions. So you don't know how long Area X has actually been there.
Kaiser.
And then
Kaiser.
Yeah, it's just way more interesting. And she discovers a picture, and you see the man who ran the lighthouse, and he is actually the creature in the book because he was the first thing that transformed. Yeah, and whenever she encounters him and faces off, she doesn't really go like she did with the weird mirror thing at the end. She encounters it, and she sees underneath all the sporous type material that he's underneath all of it screaming and is in just complete agony and is still alive. So yeah, it's just it had so many more twists to everything.
Yeah, plus the guy like plus
hey, look, let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, let me interrupt you a second. Guys, I'll be right back. Kaiser Soze needs to go pee-pee. So I named my dog Kaiser Soze. My favorite movie, Usual Suspects. So Kaiser Soze has to go TT.
Or I'll take over so you can do that.
I call him Kaiser Soze because he's here. Then he's gone. Here? Yeah, he's gone. Okay, guys. All right, I'll be right back. So,
okay.
All right.
And then we
all right. So in the movie, you never even get to see the guy who had the lighthouse.
You're not a sexual predator. No, you're not. You're not a Kevin Spacey sexual predator. You're a cute little doggy.
Okay.
You're not a rapist. You're not a rapist. Come on. Come on.
So, lighthouse caretaker.
Yeah. Natalie Portman's character finds a picture of him about halfway through the book, and then she knows who he is, but then you find out at the end that the creature that is kind of they know was there, but they haven't ever really quite met up and encountered because everyone dies. The psychologist is actually responsible for who Tessa Thompson played. She's the anthropologist in the book, but she's responsible. The psychologist does the suggestive hypnosis to her in the middle of the night when they're sleeping, and has her go into the tunnel, and the creature kills her, like the jaw ripoff scene. That would have actually been her character, but her jaw doesn't quite get ripped off. It turns into the moss body that you saw, and like her entire thing, and it's kind of half flesh, half moss, just all tangled up into one.
Just a moss beard.
Yeah, so that's how she dies. It's like, it's described that just the look on her face is complete agony and terror and everything.
Yeah. What do you think about? Sorry.
Go ahead. Just everything the creature touches, it either creates something or destroys and changes. So.
Yeah. What'd you think about that weird light pulling in thing they had at the end that was like attracting Natalie Portman to it?
It's a thing.
It reminded me of the thing, literally the thing at the end of the Thing prequel where they put CGI over it and it made no sense.
Yeah, it reminded me of that, and yeah, that's the scene when it turns into the mirror version of her.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, man, this is a Bjork music video now.
And I don't get how it fought back. Like
Like, I
she was.
really just want to take that scene and put a song from Bjork over it, because it would match perfectly, like her movements and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah, and plus, like when she's going to run and hit it, she doesn't get the chance to hit it, but it hits her. So it's not really in the character. It's kind of weird. It was like the only time that it did something out of character.
yeah, I don't.
It wasn't following its own rules.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I liked. I kind of liked her husband killing himself at the end. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was. And then we find out, well, spoilers. I know we're already in there, but I just want to make sure people know that the husband's actually replaced with something that was in the show.
Yeah, which in the book, before, like, people, they come back and then the government will come and take them away, but they're usually at the house for about a day or so, and it's usually their relatives that are like, hey, they're here and they're acting really weird. But in the book, there's no affair or anything like that. They just can't see eye to eye on a lot of issues. And then he comes back and she does sleep with him and stuff. And then
The little moss baby.
I guess. Yeah, she was doomed, and she discovers, because it was really late in the movie when she actually takes out her microscope and looks at the cells.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the entire time, when are you going to look at the cells?
Yeah,
Like-
she should have done it much earlier.
Yeah, it's like you realize everything is. You say it, it's like it's mutating. Everything's mutating. Aren't you kind of concerned you could be mutating too? So
You don't really piss me off is when they were watching the footage of the last team to go in there,
yeah,
and so when it was over, she's like, "Oh, that was just a distortion of the light."
yeah, it's a trick
I
of
was
the
like,
light.
what? Really?
Like, what?
How could that possibly be a distortion of the light?
His intestines were alive. That's not a trick of the light. They were moving and like a snake around his body. No.
I just did a workout, guys. I just had to chase the dog around the yard.
Okay.
Invest in a leash. It's the best thing I can tell you.
I just found him on my doorstep the other day, like, and I had a chance to go to PetSmart. No, but you're
Fine.
talking about. I know what you're talking about the whole, and that was the cells I was talking about regenerating.
Yeah.
The
I was
trick
gonna
of the
say
light.
you should,
That scene was gruesome of
Yeah.
them cutting him open. It almost became not, I wouldn't say hard to watch, but just like kind of like I don't want to watch this, but I
Yeah.
kind of can't look away at the moment.
yeah. There's
Well,
like
yeah.
there's like 3 really gory scenes in the movie. That was with the crocodile, the intestines, and the jaw ripped from the bear. From what I can remember.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really like Tessa Thompson's death. I wish, and it's all where she just like becomes one with nature. It's like, well, this is.
Yeah. Also, the dead
and
body they
that,
found.
well, no, that had to do with her. See, that's why I was saying like the third book was going through acceptance. It's because, like I said, the first step had to do with the leukemia in her daughter, you know, and then the second one with, you know, I explained this earlier, not her myself.
Yeah.
But her death had a lot to do with like acceptance.
Yeah, which
her not finding herself.
the thing is, Natalie Portman in the book at the end, she accepts. So
Well,
she
yeah.
accepts that
Yeah, plus
everything, that she will never be who she once was, and she actually, that's her kind of her emotional arc as a character, is that she becomes more like her husband, who was much more caring and empathetic towards, compassionate towards people, since he was an EMT, unlike the book where the movie where he's just a soldier. She becomes more like him, and she just more or less in the book, she just gets in a boat and starts rowing away, and just accepts that it's all different, and she thinks she can feel that she's going to meet her husband again, and maybe this time that she has completely changed and accepted who she is and accepted who he is, that everything's going to be good.
Yeah,
and then the thing about that, the ending though, it had so much meaning to that, because you have to look at the aspect of like, she didn't know who she was, kind of like she was so absent from him. And this one goes back to the water cup scene I told you. Like, there's such a distorted, like in the beginning when you watch the film, you think they're happily married. Well, there's like a water cup on the table and they're holding hands. And the reflection through the water cup shows their hands distorted. So kind of that's a foreshadowing of, you think you see a happy relationship, but through a different view, it is another way.
Yeah, he used the film language well. It just wasn't. He just made the story. The story, if you read the book, it's so clinical. It does not hold your hand. Like I had to Wikipedia so much of the terms she used in the book because it got really hardcore with the science. And then the movie, I just felt like it just was so dumbed down and just she had an affair, and I was like, oh man, let's not do this. I just like her not being able to connect as well to humans. I just liked that, and being more fascinated with science than emotion and stuff.
Well, let's look at it if
guys, I keep forgetting to like flicks. I'm sorry. The dog is directing the stream right now, apparently.
Okay.
But if they made this into 3 movies, I think the only one that would really sell is Annihilation, which isn't selling much.
Authority is a more of like a Kafka book.
I mean, like the titles. Like, who would go see a movie called Authority or Acceptance? Annihilation.
I totally would.
I
mean, I would not see them made into movies. Especially Authority is literally just a guy reading through papers at a desk for the entire book. He's just reading about other expeditions.
Oh, okay. But like, if they were to sell the movie, I think Annihilation is the best title. But Authority and Acceptance, it's kind of like, okay, so we're not gonna go see those movies.
I don't.
Or like you have this intense trailer. So you have this really intense sci-fi action-packed trailer. All of a sudden at the end it goes, acceptance.
It is. I don't know. I just miss all the things with the characters, and the one who's the character, your lesbian EMT. She was meant to be the more military character that Natalie Portman does bond with, and she does do that with Natalie Portman. You're lying, you're betraying me. All of that it doesn't happen the way it happens in the movie, but that more or less happens in the book. And because she just wants to peace out as well at that point in the book. She's like, yeah, I just want out. I just want to go home. This is crazy. This is stupid. We're all dying. And Natalie Portman's character wants to go straight to the lighthouse. And the psychologist has split and went to the lighthouse. And then in the book, it becomes more or less them two against one another. And Natalie Portman's character has an advantage because there is the creature lurking, and she is changing. So she more or less is becoming more human than human and can have higher senses.
Let's go ahead and finish these 3 points, because this right now is going to bring us to our last point of the conversation.
Okay.
So we said the scare factor. We all talked about the bear and stuff, how it's scary. So now let's go ahead and go into each person's pros and cons.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna start first.
Okay.
I loved the film. I really did. Until the ending act. Okay? It went from The Arrival with Amy Adams to The Arrival with Charlie Sheen. Like, so fast and so short. Like, I was so into it until they did the mirror shit. And at first, I was, like, into it. And then they went too long with it.
Yeah, way too long.
Way too long with it. And I'm like, dude, I get it. I get it. And then they're like, at first it was mirror, and then like I thought she was gonna run out, and then but they went too long with it. And that's when it went from like, I really like this film to you guys are just trying to be smart and confuse me, and I don't appreciate that. I wasn't drinking at the theater, I was drinking after the theater. So. I didn't appreciate that. So that's my pros and cons. The pros are the acting, the story. My cons are the ending. The ending was not what I wanted. So no, the very ending, the ending scene with her and her husband, that was perfect. Sorry, but that was perfect. But the whole mirror, that the rainbow, that threw me off. I didn't appreciate that. Anyways, go ahead, Brian. Tell me your pros and cons.
Okay, so while looking at my sheet, the thing I did my review with, I loved the cinematography, effects, and the performances were above decent. I thought most of the characters were distinguishable and relatable. I mean, of course, it would be distinguishable because there's only 5 or 6 of them at a time, and I just think it was really well shot with everything. Like, there's so many scenes that are outside that could have been ruined by nature, but this was actually filmed in a park. And let me just look it up. Called the Winster Great Park. And you can tell it's... I mean, you can't really tell it's a park. You just think you're somewhere deep in an overgrown forest. So they did a really good job with setting and cinematography. The effects were like 90% of the time really good. I didn't... Okay, I'll go to my cons now. I didn't really care for the musical score. I mean, it was okay in some parts, but the end... the ending score was a little too loud and psychedelic, as well as the ending itself was a bit too much. It was going on way too long, and it got kind of old really quick. And she gets knocked out, and then she wakes up, and the same thing happens, and she almost gets knocked out again. It's like, come on, you do the same thing over and over again. I was afraid of. I looked at my girlfriend, who was about halfway asleep by the ending, and she was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Are they gonna repeat this over and over and over until the movie ends or something?"
Like SpaghettiOs and disappointment.
Yeah, and so there was one, and also I hate the subplot. I don't really care for it. It was just, I didn't feel like it needed to be there, and. Before I finish with my rating, because I do have a rating for it,
that's going to be the next one. That's what
okay, I'll wait for that then. But I do have to say, for my theater going experience, the only thing that really threw me off was one guy. When the subplot happened and we found out she was cheating on her husband, he was like, "She just wanted some D." And I was like, "Yeah, you're really immature."
Yeah.
And that's about it for my pros and cons.
All right, good deal. Your pros and cons.
All right, pros. Acting, great all around. Sorry, I just immediately had some cons come in my head, and I'm just like trying to block them out.
You're such a sarcastic asshole, and I
really like the wah 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 that was used in the trailer, and I wish it was used.
What? You liked what?
The wah wah. I really like that.
You like the what?
The wah wah synth, and I wished it was used throughout the film instead of the boring acoustic guitar playing the same 2 chords over and over. If you had that loud synth sound as they're rowing through the swamp. There's also not a swamp in the book. So not even the same location. But moving on.
Insert laugh. Ha 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 ha
if you had the wah 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 in the swamp, it would just be interesting. It would, I mean, it would hit an it follows note where the score overpowers the movie and becomes better than the movie, but but at least you would have something instead of just doom 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 doom.
Like, what are we in Deliverance territory?
It's just driving me.
This is dedicated to OCD. Hold on.
No, not the Deliverance crap.
I guess that's why I would never go to Texas to visit, you know.
But yeah, I don't know. It just the pros of diverse cast that were all on point. Really loved all of them. They were perfectly cast as well in their roles. Unfortunately, they were not the correct roles, but they were correct characters. But they were okay characters.
The film for what it was, but as an adaptation,
it was okay for what it was. Removing the book completely, it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It just hit okay.
Well, for example, a lot of people who read The Shining hate Stanley Kubrick's Shining.
I read it. And
Stanley
I totally love
Shining.
Kubrick Shining. I don't care.
Yeah. But I'm just comparing the two. Just kind of like they're two different things. So, all right, Brian. So I guess I got my pros and cons. My pros and cons is I love the story. I loved the whole film and its subtext and the foreshadowing and everything. The only thing that lost me was the very fucking end. I'm just like
it was really, too on the nose. It was on the nose.
Artsy. Too. Like it was perfect.
Oh, which the climax or the very end?
The climax.
Okay, the mirror, the Bjork video.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was fine the first time. Okay, you can get on me.
Totally gonna put
it was fine the first few
Bjork
minutes.
song over that scene. I'm gonna put Bjork hyper ballad over that scene, and it will fit perfectly.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah. And then just have her scream as soon as like Natalie Portman tries to attack the mirror.
Hunter. I am the hunter.
Yeah, it was a Bjork music video.
Yes,
it totally was.
But no, I loved it.
Her "All Is Full of Love" song stuck in my head for that entire scene.
I really did love it until like the first, like after it happened after the mirror and they passed out. I was like, that'd be perfect.
I love the light. I really love the light before the mirror scene. And the mirror scene, as I said, I just kept having Bjork in my head.
Okay, no,
I was like, Bjork is gonna love
OCD.
this.
Oh my god, I'm not used to calling you OCD. But OCD, okay, listen, that part when they sat there and they looked in the mirror and they collapsed and they fell asleep, that would have been a perfect ending to where she walked out.
And then just scientists.
Exactly. Would that not have been perfect?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, they wake up again.
Better, at least. Or because I heard a lot of people before I saw it talk about how trippy the end is, the climax. And so I was thinking full on 2001 A Space Odyssey, this is going to be so trippy. And in the trailer you see the light shining, going through her eyes and stuff. And so that's what I was thinking, was like, okay, here we go, super trippy time. And then she just falls and then gets up and walks outside.
No, but
and then like mirror creature, mirror version of her.
No, they had 5 more minutes. OCD, they had 5 more minutes of them doing mirror shit.
I didn't think the mirror stuff was trippy. I feel like I've seen that in a million other things, like mostly music videos and crap.
No, but what I'm getting at is it was cool the first time, but they kept going.
I think they even did the mirror thing in a Chemical Brothers video. Where the people were doing the same thing and then they killed one another.
Prodigy did it. Chemical Brothers, Prodigy, Depeche Mode. Everybody's done it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I felt like I had seen that scene already, and
So
I
now
was
that you
like,
got my pro and cons, let's go ahead and let's do
oh,
a
I have
final
one more
judgment.
con real quick,
What-
but
what's
it's not
up?
specifically for Annihilation. It's for a lot of movies coming out lately, which
But
is
that's
just
gonna be our next stream. Hold on.
no.
No,
This
like
is
our next stream, like after this.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. I told you we're doing next stream, but
Next stream next week?
no, like after this, because horror show is about to pass out.
Oh no, I'm just listening.
I just wanted to say something really. Fuego, I loved his changes from 2001. 2001 is a crappy book. 2010 is crappy. All the 2000s are crappy. All of them. They just got worse as it went on.
No, I was gonna have
Anyways,
you
moving
host. Yeah, go for it.
It's just always in movies recently, and I've noticed this especially in the past month. There is a tiny spot out of focus at the top of the frame, and it is driving me mental in these films. It's not Annihilation does it, and did it, and The Lodgers I watched like 2 weeks ago or so, 3 weeks ago. They had it. There's, gosh, what is it? Thoroughbreds. Thoroughbreds did it.
I haven't seen it yet.
It does. It's just an out of focus part of a frame. That's all I'm saying. It's not a spoiler. Part of the frame of the movie is out of focus.
I didn't mean it. I mean that you saw it. I want to know your opinion on it. I didn't mean you were spoiling it.
It's good. It's really complex. It's a good movie though. It's a really good movie. It's a lot better than Annihilation. But moving on, it's a lot deeper than Annihilation, I would say. Moving on. It's just a weird thing. It's like, is this a stylistic choice, or are they just not realizing when they're filming just certain scenes that part of it's out of focus at the edge of the frame? So I don't know, but it's driving me mental watching these movies.
It is ridiculous. It really is. I understand you 200%. So that's our pros and cons. So I guess final judgment. Final judgment. I just called you Cecil.
Happened to me the other week with somebody else.
No. The only reason I called you Cecil is because I just checked my Facebook and I read that. But anyways, no, I'm sorry. I know your name. You're Brian. I'm sorry. I've been drinking and I was just reading a post for the horror show, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're my best friend, Brian. Shut up.
Final
judgment.
Brian. Cool. I already forgot. Oh, final judgment. Who's doing their final judgment?
Brian is. I'm waiting for Brian.
Oh, I thought it was him.
No, I had you on, babe.
All right. 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5.
Do it out of 5? Okay.
So is it own it? Rent it?
Rent.
Or wait for it on YouTube?
I'd say
it's coming on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, just watch it.
Well, it's on Netflix right now. The UK.
UK, like, just nothing really new. There's like Freddy versus Jason, a couple of Friday 13th, just that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'd say rent it.
Oh shit, I clicked on me. I didn't mean to click on me, sorry.
All right,
what do you think, Brian? So you think they should rent it, right?
Yeah, I mean 3.5 out of 5. It's more than just a little bit above decent. It's pretty much above decent.
All right, good deal. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, babe. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, I'm pretty much done with that. Yeah.
All right. OCD, what do you think, Ben?
Wait, I just want to say you don't have to rate it out of 5. You can rate it whatever.
When I say this, I mean your channel's rated. He does points on his channel. So on your channel, how do you rate films?
I don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, just say I like it or no.
I can give it a rating, but no, I said I can because I already have a rating in my head, which would be 6, 10, 6 out of 10.
All right,
that's not too bad. That's like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, it's around about. I don't want to give it a 3 out of 5, but I would say 6 out of 10 because it is worth a watch. I would say it's worth a watch, but it's not worth much more than that. It's just a watch, so you can tell everyone I've seen it, so I know what I'm talking about.
All right,
that's all.
I think you guys, on the contrary, I think y'all should own this film because I think this film has a lot to do with addiction and depression, and I love this film so much. There are a lot of negative points in this film because my friend, who I'm going to make nameless, was talking about the book, and he's making me not like the film more because they left a lot out of the book. I think I know who you're talking about. I know. Tell him I'm talking about this. So I'm really not happy with him because I love this film, and now I don't know if I love this film as much. So now I have to go back and read the book. But I think y'all should buy this on Blu-ray. A lot of people have not seen this film. I think you should buy it on Blu-ray. So anyways.
What would you give it out of its rating if you want to?
Well, I don't have ratings. I have love it, okay. Like, I don't really do ratings on my channel.
Yeah.
I haven't really got there yet because I can't really do ratings.
Good one anyways.
If a film's really bad, I still like it. So
yeah. I mean, I find it hard for me to find a film I hate.
Exactly, me too. Well, no, there's 2 films I hate with a passion. We won't even go there. There's 2 films I hate with a passion. But that's another video. Anyways, guys. So, everybody, what's the comments we have going on right now?
There's a lot coming in before.
Hate you. They said that redhead.
They hate me. They said they hate me.
That redhead. Man, why hasn't she been muted? Someone mute her.
Chase, shut up. Oh, I can't call you about my friend. I can't call my friend by his name. He's OCD.
That's fine. No, whatever.
It was so funny. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta put me on. Guys, fucking Brian and Chase had the best response. I texted him, I'm like, so I think I have a dog.
Silence.
Because y'all don't understand. We don't just go live. We hang out before we go live.
Sets the mood.
Silence.
It sets the mood. And all of a sudden, guys, I'm about to click OCD right now. I was sitting there talking to him, so I have a dog, and he went, what? And he started laughing. He was like, that's the look he gave me. He went,
you're a dog person? No.
And
of course you do.
No, I told Brian.
You have a dog.
I messaged Brian saying, Brian, I think I have a dog. And he goes, ah.
Wait, is that what you messaged me on Facebook or on here?
That's when I messaged you on Facebook, and I was like, I think I have a dog. No, it was on here.
No, I think I thought it was a typo, and I was like, dog.
No, because I FaceTimed you, and I was like, look, and you're like, what the fuck is in your hand? I was like,
I have a friend who has a dog just like that. I'm like, oh my god, you stole my friend's dog. It's just a skinnier version.
Anyways, guys, so we had the comments all caught up. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's watching right now. Who's watching it again?
So we have 4 people watching it. Says everything horror, Ben Grimm, OCD. Oh wait, no, never mind.
That's me. I'm not even watching either. I'm looking at my phone.
Jaiming and Fuego. Let's see what else. We had Leo McKenna. I'm just looking up.
Thank you for subbing, by the way, Leo. That was nice of you.
Yeah, pretty much everyone that I mentioned has been commenting the whole time. At the beginning, we had someone named Rubber81.
I love you, Chase, but you're such a dick.
No, I was sincere. It was nice.
You sound so sarcastic. You're like,
he subbed to me. That wasn't even talking. So like that was cool when he subbed. It was like, thanks, man. I'm not even talking. So thank you.
And we have 4 likes and 1 dislike. Whoa.
Of course they have a dislike, because everybody dislikes it.
I usually dislike. Who's disliking this?
I mean,
I haven't disliked it, and I usually.
Oh my God, what is this?
I mean,
3. Oh my God.
You know what? You want to know something funny, guys? You know what?
I typically dislike the video.
This is my only day off, and I am off until 11 o'clock tomorrow. So 11 a.m. So guess what we're gonna do?
What?
I'm about to do a double take, guys. I'm about to get off this bitch and have another topic and get back live again. How does y'all feel?
About what? Sorry, I'm kind of lost.
No, you need to go to sleep.
What?
Yeah. You haven't. You've been texting me all day like, man, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But no, we're about to get off here and go live again because we're gonna have a new topic. My new topic is gonna be best sequels in horror.
That's not fair. I shouldn't be tired. Although you probably
You're on spring break, Brian.
I know.
You're on spring break. Grab that coffee.
I have no more.
Where's all your coffee?
I drank it.
You just went and bought coffee. What are you talking about?
No, I drank that before, but I had made this and now it's all gone.
Well, how much wine do I have? I don't have wine either. I don't know how.
Pour it into your computer. I'll take it.
Okay, let's do this. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna X off of here, guys, and thank you so much for watching. We love you guys. We have my homies of horror. I have my boy OCD.
I'm a human.
I'm a human.
My hey baby, Brian Gatto from Horror Show Entertainment.
Hey, I can go deeper than you.
I can go deeper than you. I can go deeper than you. Guys, this is like what we do. Like honestly, like.
I haven't seen.
So I love all my friends. These are my two. Like honestly, guys, these are my 2 favorite horror homies. They're fucking awesome. They've always. Every time I want to do a stream, they're the first people to be like, "Let's do it, bitch."
You know what's funny is we've only met like, we started talking like only a few months ago.
Yeah, I know. But we've been talking so much since after we met. It's so weird. As soon as we met, we're like, blah, blah, blah. By the way, dude, you told me to check out your friend, and now I'm like obsessed with Fedora. Like
Oh yeah.
He's into all those horror. Remember I told you about Jaws?
Yep, he reviewed the Jaws sequels 3 and 4. Yeah.
The Turkish Jaws. He didn't review it. I was like, no.
Oh, no, the Italian one. I reviewed it with them.
No, I saw the Turkish one. I didn't see this. Okay, now I gotta watch that one. No, but you told me about it, dude.
I don't remember. He has so many videos too.
No, he has way more than me. But yeah, dude, we have to do something because I would love to fucking. Because I'm sorry, but you're hilarious. I love you to death. You know that. I love you, brah. Anyway, yeah, we only know each other for a few months, but that's my boy. He's the one that we actually sit there and I'll do my makeup and I'll talk to him and he'll be like, "Yeah, well, you look stupid right now. I think you should probably."
I do not.
You never said I look stupid. You're like, "Oh man, there's lipstick on your teeth." And I was like, "Where?" That shit was funny.
Well, I thought you should know.
You're like, "Man, there's lipstick on your teeth." I was like, "Where?" Anyways, yeah, I love my bras. I love my boys. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching my horror homies. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Anyways, guys, bye.
Bye.
Stuff, people, humans.